Hello, friends. I hope you're out wandering through nature, exploring the natural world around you. Do you enjoy writing about your wanderings? Nature journaling is an awesome, fun way to remember all the adventures you have taken and how you felt during those journeys. If you're looking for some beautiful journals to keep track of all your wanderings, I have several available on Amazon, including some guided journals for children. Start your journey in journaling by clicking on the link in the show notes. Keep exploring the nature around you and keep journaling all your wanderings. Hey friends, Paul here. Welcome to the podcast and welcome to a beautiful day. It is a nice autumn day and I just had to get out in the woods, get out in nature, wandering through Chestnut Ridge Park today. This is part of the Erie County Park system. A lot of history in the Erie County parks now. We're talking Erie County, New York. A lot of times when I say Erie, everyone thinks Erie, PA, Pennsylvania. But no, there's an Erie County in New York State, which is actually where I live. So I am at the park here today in Erie County, Chestnut Ridge Park. I've been here before doing episodes. I think the last episode I did from here was at the Eternal Flame Falls. And we talked a little bit about the falls and the flame behind it, the gas leak. But I'm in a different section of the park today. It's been getting cooler. We've been getting some pretty cool temperatures here in western New York. Matter of fact, I turned the heat on yesterday for the first time. Oh, there goes a chipmunk right in front of me. Up into a little hole. And he's like, whoa, wait a minute, human, I gotta hide. But anyhow, turned my heat on for the first time yesterday because it got pretty chilly in my house. Yeah, we've got a high of the upper 50s today, so it is getting chilly. Nights are showing up much earlier. Got all my Halloween decorations out the other day, getting ready for Halloween. So it's just such a beautiful day. Fall is in the air. Autumn is here. I've been watching all the animals prepare. The chipmunk that just ran in front of me, he probably was out gathering some stores for the winter. Chipmunks are actually preparing for the winter by gathering some nuts, some food, and they store it down in their den. They're a partial hibernator. I've talked about them during my hibernation episode. They have several chambers in their dens. One is a sleeping chamber. They will go into hibernation and they wake up and come out of their hibernation, and when they do that, they gather some food, use the restroom, and then they continue on with their hibernation. So yeah, they're in and out of hibernation all winter. So he was probably out trying to get some food, and I disturbed him. Sorry, bud. The crows are warning everyone that I'm in the woods here. So anyhow, I am out exploring nature on this beautiful autumn day. The flowers are out. A lot of them have withered away already, but we've got the autumn flowers, the asters. I'm in the woods, so I'm not going to see any goldenrod. I always love going by the fields with the gold and the purple, all the goldenrod and the asters out there. But yeah, I've been noticing a lot of signs of winter coming. The trees are preparing. They're starting to change color here. We're probably only at about 25% right now in my neck of the woods. I've been looking at the foliage map on the local weather channel's website, and they said down in the southern tier, so south of me, they're at about 50 to 75%, but around me I'd say more like 25%. In the park here there's lots of colors, but I've explained it in the past, but just as a refresher, I think it was quite a while ago that I explained how leaves change colors. They don't actually, I shouldn't say they don't change, but they do change colors, but the colors that you're seeing, the yellows, the reds, those are already there all summer long. They were there, we just couldn't see them. The reason is they're hidden by the chlorophyll. Okay, chlorophyll is what makes plants green. So you've got, let me explain it as best I can here. There's basically your carotenoids. They're a chemical in the plant, in the leaves, and they actually cause most of the yellow and orange and brown colors in the leaves. So that's the pigments that's there. And then there's anthocyanin, which is mostly produced in the autumn. So as the days get shorter, the temperatures get cooler, the leaves start producing this anthocyanin. That gives color to such things as cranberries, apples, grapes, blueberries, cherries, strawberry. That's where they get their color from. They are in the leaves, in the leaf cell, and they produce more of this chemical during the fall. And then, of course, there's chlorophyll. Chlorophyll gives the green color, and that's what's necessary for photosynthesis to take place in the plant, in the leaves. So all of this is happening in these leaves, and all summer long, you see the green, because the chlorophyll is basically working the hardest. It's most abundant in the leaves because, well, the plant has to go through photosynthesis, has to create the energy. And what happens in the fall is the plant notices the days are getting shorter and the days are getting cooler. What happens is the plant starts realizing it needs to start conserving its energy, starts putting its energy into storing energy, food, sugars down in its roots. So it starts cutting off the flow of the xylem and phloem from the leaves, preventing the whole photosynthesis from happening. So as that little straw in the leaf stem starts to shut down, it starts to close off, what happens is you don't have as much chlorophyll. The chlorophyll starts to die off, it starts to disappear, and the green starts to leave. It starts to leave the leaf. And so it can show off these other colors. So that's where we get the yellows, we get the reds, we get the browns, we get, you know, all these brilliant colors. I'm actually coming up to a tree here right now that has a vine going up it, and I'm not close enough, I can't see the type. It's either poison ivy or it looks more like Virginia creeper to me from where I'm at. But as I get close, yeah, it's Virginia creeper. It's got the 5 leaves. I'm actually going to come right underneath it. But they're bright red right now, the leaves on the Virginia creeper. Most of the other leaves in this part of the woods are, oh yeah, there's lots of it around. They're mostly green. Some are starting to change yellow. There's a lot of yellow. Not a lot of brilliant reds except in the Virginia creeper. There's a few, yeah, there's a few maples that are starting to get a little bit of red in them. In my neighborhood, there's several trees that are already bright red, almost the whole thing. Actually, I had to rake up leaves the other day. So we are getting some of this change. Now, what's happening here, okay, I talked about how the chlorophyll is kind of disappearing so that the other colors can start to show up. Now, have you ever noticed that in some years, the leaves get to be very bright red, and other years they're kind of not so brilliant in color? Yeah, I always hate when I go out during, leaf peeping season. I start checking out the leaves, and it's like, where's the brilliant colors? It's so dull in here. Well, what happens is it all depends on several factors. First of all, if you get a lot of warm, sunny days in a row, and it's still crisp in the air, it's cold, it's chilly, what you're going to get is you're going to end up getting more brilliant colors. So what's happening is you're creating more of the sugars, but because the leaf stem is closing off, those sugars are almost trapped in the leaf, and it allows it to show more brilliant reds because you're creating more of that in the leaf. Now, if you get like really cold weather all of a sudden, not a lot of sunny days, a lot of overcast days. We've had a lot of that around here lately. What's going to happen is you're going to get fewer and fewer bright reds. You're going to get more yellows, you're going to get more browns, and you may get some oranges and some dull reds, but you're not going to get the bright, brilliant reds. Now, it also depends on the tree. Oh, before I get to that, it depends on moisture as well. If you've had a lot of drought, a lot of dryness, you're not going to get a lot of the bright colors. You get more moisture throughout the summer and throughout the fall, you're going to get the brighter colors showing up. So all of these factors affect how bright the colors are. So every year can be different. I'm often asked, it's like, well, when do you get the bright colors? When should I come up and see, all the changing leaves? I live down south and I want to see it's like, well, there's no good formula for that. I really can't tell you. It could be early October, could be late October, could be early November that you start getting the color. It all depends on temperatures, the seasons, the moisture, so I can't give you a good number for any of this. So that's one of those things that's unpredictable. Now, there are trees, that will display certain colors better than other trees. For instance, your oaks, they usually get the reds, the browns, the russet colors. The hickories, they get the golden bronze colors. They usually don't get the reds. Aspens and yellow poplar, they get golden yellow. Yeah, very beautiful golden yellow. You'll also get dogwoods. They're more purplish red. I always love dogwoods when they get the brilliant colors because it's a real purplish red color. Beech, they're kind of boring. They usually only get a light tan. And of course, you've got your maples. Your maples, everyone knows about the bright red maple leaves. Well, each maple tree, each species of maple tree, I should say, each species of maple tree can actually get different colors. So like your red maple gets brilliant scarlet. Those are the ones that we see with the bright, bright red. On a good year, Sugar maples get the orange red. I have seen some sugar maple that will get a bright red, but they're mostly like an orange red. And then the black maple, glowing yellow. Yeah, they get a bright yellow color. And the striped maple. We get a lot of striped maple in the woods around western New York here. The striped maple is pretty much colorless, just brown. They just go from the green to the brown and die off. So not all maples get that beautiful, bright, brilliant colors to them. So that's why we have all these bright, beautiful colors in the woods and out in your neighborhoods. So anyhow, I didn't really want to go that in depth with talking about leaf color, but some of you may have not heard the episode, maybe you're a new listener. I want to explain why the leaves are changing color. I am seeing a lot of dead leaves on the ground already, some brown and yellow and even some bright red leaves on the ground. And you may wonder, it's like, well, is that going to harm the ground? And actually it doesn't. A lot of the leaves being on the ground, they're supplying nutrients for the smaller critters on the ground. They're supplying nutrients for the insects. You're also getting them decaying and turning back into nutrient-rich soil. So this is why the leaves are falling to the ground and they stay there and they just decay and they start adding nutrients to the soil so that the trees can get bigger and new trees can grow. So I always like to see all these leaves on the ground. People who rake their woods, I just said I raked the leaves out of my lawn, but my lawn I don't worry about. I'm not going to leave them there because I want my lawn to look nice. I'll get kicked out of the neighborhood if I do leave the leaves there anyhow. No, I'm just kidding. But anyhow, if you have woods, I've seen people who have these beautiful woods. I used to have a lot of woods. My property out in Arcade, where I used to live, we had 12 acres and about a quarter of the property was wooded, and we just left it. You know, we left it natural, let nature take its course. I've seen people who, they have their woods and they rake it up because it's close to the house and they don't want those ugly leaves sitting there in the woods. And it's like, well, wait a minute here. Those leaves belong there. It's part of nature. It's part of the cycle of life. They need to decay. They need to decompose. You rake them up, you're actually harming the woods. Okay, so that's why you should leave the leaves there. So I enjoy seeing all the leaves here. But other signs of autumn in this beautiful, beautiful autumn crisp day. It's a little bit chilly. I've got my jacket on. Spring jacket, not a heavy winter jacket. It's not that cold. It's almost 60. There's other signs that you're going to find out here. Like I said, I saw that chipmunk, but I've also been seeing some of the birds, and I've been hearing the birds, and I've noticed I haven't been hearing the insectivores. They've already headed south for the winter. They know that they won't be able to survive here. They won't be able to hold out through the winter finding enough food. All the insects are hibernating under the trees. I haven't even seen any mosquitoes. I haven't had any insects flying around me. And that's because they're already, either dying off or hibernating somewhere. And so the insectivores, they know that they head south. So all your warblers, your nuthatches, some of these other insects, but you will have the woodpeckers sticking around. I have been noticing the woodpeckers lately have been at my peanut feeders, but I've been hearing a lot of rapping on the woods, in the woods I should say. I've been hearing a lot of rapping against the trees, on the trees in the woods. And it's the woodpeckers. They're making sure that they've got their nice winter home, and they're also looking for insects underneath the bark of the tree. So a lot of stuff going on, a lot of preparation for winter time. This is a time of year where I see a lot of people, they start putting away and I've been doing this too, putting away their summertime furniture, their outdoor furniture, getting the house ready for winter, making sure the furnace is tuned up, making sure the furnace filter is clean. All this is going on, and so we often forget that, hey, nature is still there. Yeah, unfortunately, I see a lot of people preparing to hibernate. We're not a hibernating species, but a lot of people think they are. So they are preparing for their hibernation, which I don't really like that. Because I always feel that you should be out there any time of year in nature, exploring nature, getting to know nature. So get out and, enjoy these crisp days. I know it's not fun bundling up to go out for a hike. I'd rather just, jump in the car or, go someplace and get right out and hike. Not have to put on a jacket, warm shoes, warm socks. No. I would prefer just getting out and hiking. So what other signs of autumn are in the air? Well, have you noticed the smell? You can almost smell. I don't know if it's decaying leaves. I think that's part of it. But you can almost smell autumn in the air. You can smell the change because we don't have the heat anymore. There isn't as much humidity. So what's happening is you've got the leaves decaying underneath you. You've got the leaves, and there's leaves falling all around me too. You've got all this stuff going on, and it affects the smell. So you can actually smell autumn. And I know it sounds strange, but it's true. Get out and try it. Use all your senses. You can feel how crisp it is. The woods always seem so much quieter in the autumn too, because a lot of the animals, they've moved on. The birds have headed south. The other animals are prepping for their long winters, getting fattened up, getting their dens prepared for the long winter. The babies are out, they've already found new territories and they're checking out that territory for the winter. So everyone's just out there doing their own thing, and it just seems so much quieter in the woods, so much more peaceful. And I've also found, as the days get cooler, fewer people in the woods too. Yeah, not a lot of people hiking in the woods. They stick to the main roads and the parks. I actually dodged a lot of people in the park. Oh, I came across a tree here that's pretty cool. Well, let me finish my thought first. A lot of people, when I first came in the park, they're out hiking. Most of them I saw were out jogging or walking their dogs. But I'm on a side trail here. Haven't seen a soul. It's been so quiet. I got to one part of the trail where it got close to the road, and I was down below the road, but I saw some hikers, not hikers, some joggers jogging by. But so, it's just so much quieter and peaceful. That's why I like hiking this time of year. You also don't get all sweaty. So anyhow, I came across this tree, and it's got a vine going up it. It's hard to tell what type of vine. It doesn't look like poison ivy. It's pretty old. Oh yeah, I think it is poison ivy. It's got a lot of tendrils coming off of it, but it's so old that it's died off. There's no leaves up above, but the whole tree is dead. All the bark has fallen off. I can actually see a bunch of bark on the ground, and the bark, you can see a bunch of holes in it. But if you look at the actual trunk of this tree, it's good size, probably about, I'm going to say a 2-foot diameter, maybe three. Yeah, it's a good sized tree, pretty tall too, but it's totally dead. All the bark is off, and you can see all the decorations through it. Decorations? Okay, all the lines where all the animals have been traveling through. So they made all these tunnels underneath the bark when this tree was still alive. And that's where they stayed alive all winter. They got under the bark where it was warmer, and they ate the cambium layer of the tree. Now, there's a lot of these trails, tunnels, markings in this tree. I don't know if that's what killed this tree or if it was just the end of this tree's life. Trees are like people. They only live so long, and they can get disease. If a disease hits a tree, it dies off. So, yeah, that's what the insects are doing right now. They're getting underneath the trees. Oh, I see another one that's dead over here. Still has some bark on it though, but I saw the bottom and it's like, whoa. Yeah, that bark looks like it's really getting loose and falling off. And I looked up and yeah, it's dead up in the top, and the 2/3 of the top, so 2/3 of the tree, top 2/3 is actually bare, no bark at all on it. So another one, you can see all the insect tunnels on that one up above. Not as good as the first one because I was close enough and all the bottom section was bare. So I'm starting to head out of the woods here. Had a nice hike today. But I'm going to keep looking and see what else we can find here that is just showing us that winter is on its way. Yeah, it's not too far off. I mean, we're into October, about mid-October, so we've got about another month before, it starts really getting cold and we start getting the chance of that nasty S word. Yeah, snow. But don't worry, I'm not going to hibernate, and I hope you won't either, because autumn, winter, spring, summer, whatever time of year is always a good time of year to get out and explore and enjoy nature. So get out there and keep exploring. I'm also noticing as I'm coming up to a stream, and there's a area of the stream. It's mostly dried up, but there is an area here. It must have been deep enough that it kept some water. Now I'm seeing some movement. I'm seeing some ripples, which means there are some insects in there, or maybe some small fish. Poor fish, they're in this tiny little pond area. Yeah, it's not very big, but they're probably not going to make it through the winter because this is too shallow and small. I will pretty much guarantee that it will entirely freeze over if it doesn't dry up before then. So whatever animals are in there, they're not going to make it through the winter, unfortunately. I am seeing up in the trees, in an area where there's a lot of color here. Yeah, a lot of yellows, golds. There's some reds. I think we have some maples over there. Got a maple overhead. Not a lot of red in this maple. Mostly yellows. We did have a very dry late summer. We started getting some moisture in the past couple of weeks, some rain, but it was a very dry September. So I'm not counting on very bright red colors here. So these maples are just yellow right now, and it could be the type of maple. Although it does, yeah, these are sugar maples, so they should be getting the orange red. But yellow, all depends on a lot of factors here. But I am looking up and, oh, there goes another chipmunk. Yep, getting ready for winter. I am looking up and, some of the trees are a little bare already. So they've been dropping their leaves, and this is the time of year where you can start seeing the shape, the artistic, value of the woods, where you can see all the shapes of the trees and the branches, and I'm seeing some big clumps of leaves up in some of the boughs of the tree, and those are the homes of squirrels. Yeah, the squirrels are also preparing. I haven't seen any here. I've seen a lot of them in my yard because I have a great big old oak tree, and they're every day I see them in the morning, especially gathering up the nuts on the ground and carrying them away. And I mean, they're eating some, but most of them they're carrying away and probably storing them for the winter, getting ready for those cold winter days that are coming. But they build these big nests out of leaves up in the trees. That's how they stay warm. If you've ever seen in the fall, after you rake leaves into a big pile, and then in the morning when you get up, you'll maybe disturb that pile and you see all the steam coming off. Yeah, all the steam coming out of the leaves. And that's basically because it's great insulation. And these squirrels know that, so they're building these big insulated balls of leaves up in the trees to stay warm. Oh, great big black cherry here on the trail. Looks very healthy too. Yeah, the burnt potato chip bark. And there's another tree there with a big gouge in it. And it looks like, oh yeah, we had a pine fall, knock into that tree and knocked it over. But it's still alive, just not doing as well as it should be because of that other tree knocked into it. A little bit of an opening here because we have a stream going through, and I think the wind must have come through and knocked it down. So anyhow, I'm going to wrap things up here. I'm going to keep wandering through the woods because I'm almost to my car, but I think I'm going to take another trail because it's such a beautiful day. It is so great, but I've reached my half-hour limit here for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you want to learn more about how leaves change color, there's a lot of great sources online. I'll try to put some links in the show notes for you, and some other links on, about the signs of autumn. But get out there. Don't just explore it online. Explore it in person. Get out and explore nature every chance you get. If you want to support the podcast, the best thing you can do is share it with others, get more people listening to the podcast. But if you want to support it financially, the links are in the show notes for my Ko-Fi page. I really, appreciate any donations that you send. Helps to buy equipment, helps keep things going, the website, the podcast. So it keeps everything running smoothly. So if you want to make a monetary donation, that's greatly appreciated. Links are in the show notes. Also, if you want to buy a Nature Wanderer journal or other merchandise, those links are in the show notes as well. And above all, keep exploring the nature around you. Have a great day, everybody. Did you know that plastic is made with oil, a fossil fuel that pollutes the environment? And did you know that only about 15% of all plastic is recycled into new products? Wouldn't it be awesome if we could live our lives without plastic so that we could stop harming the planet? Well, there's a company that wants to help you do just that. Life Without Plastic sells products that will reduce or eliminate your dependence on plastic. They have a large selection from toothbrushes to food storage containers to drinking straws, all plastic-free. And it's reasonably priced. So what are you waiting for? Check out all these great plastic-free products and help save the planet. Just click on the link in the show notes to find out more and to start your journey to being plastic-free.